And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Thursday mornings, flying weather showing marginal VFR here over the western half of the state from the Brooks Range southward into Bristol Bay and also into Shelikof Strait, Kodiak Island area. Some IFR here over the southwest interior and the Kobuk Valley there. And then a break over the eastern Bering Sea from St. Lawrence Island down to the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. And then a band of IFR here with that next system coming into the central Aleutians and extending back across the southwest Bering Sea. Southeast coast, marginal VFR covering much of the area there. And that progresses farther to the north there, in towards Skagway, over toward Elfin Cove. IFR showing up down south. VFR, central eastern part of the state, in fact, all the way out here to the Seward Peninsula. Some marginal VFR up here in the northwest. And the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta down into Bristol Bay, eastward there and to at least the southern half of the Kuskokwim Valley, Kodiak Island VFR. And most of the Alaska Peninsula, this band of IFR narrowing as it pushes eastward and northward, but extends from the Pribilofs down to about Unalaska Island to False Pass with some good VFR behind it. And then for Friday morning, IFR here, eastern Aleutians, and the Alaska Peninsula, marginal for the Pribilof Islands, St. Matthew Island, all the way up into the Bering Strait. VFR, or just some marginal VFR here, lower Yukon River Valley, southward there into the Kuskokwim Valley and down to Dillingham, King Salmon area, the Alaska Peninsula. Then IFR for the western peninsula there into the eastern Aleutians. And then for Adak Atco westward, VFR with marginal VFR for Shumianatu, eastern half of the state, VFR. Brooks Range out to the Arctic coast, VFR in the Panhandle, pretty marginal. And that holds into Friday afternoon for the southeast coast here, mostly marginal VFR there. Mostly VFR, interior Alaska, northern Bering Sea, and the Arctic coast included, as well as Kodiak Island. Marginal VFR there may be showing up to the southwest side of the island, Bristol Bay, marginal VFR on down to the eastern Aleutians, and IFR mostly off the coast here over the northern Bering Sea. And for the passes, Hanatuvik and Anigan, both VFR, as well as the Alaska Range. The entire Alaska Range will be VFR for Thursday. Lake Clark and Merrill, rainy pass, windy, VFR. Isabel, VFR. Mentasta, same forecast, VFR. Tanita, VFR, and Portage, VFR as well, with Chilkoot and White, though, marginal VFR. Freezing levels, 2,000 to 4,000 feet over the southeast coast, otherwise south and off the chart here everywhere else at the surface, nudging back northward here toward the Pribilof Islands, still south of the Alaska Peninsula and the North Gulf Coast. Icing with that system coming in, that helping push some warmer air up to the north there, at least the surface freezing level should get north of the Pribilofs. Considerable moderate rime icing there from about St. Paul Island down across Unalaska Island, moving eastward to about this position in the mid-afternoon hours. Nothing of any significance over interior Alaska, and moisture bringing some areas of considerable moderate icing into the southeast coast westward here to about Yakutat. And for the jet stream, 65 to 85 knot winds into the Panhandle, southerly, south-southwest 60 knots over the eastern interior, and also south-southwest here, 60 to up to 85 knots there toward the eastern Aleutians. And at 3,000 feet, several low centers out here over the Bering Sea. Head of the first one, or the one right there, southwest winds 55 to 70 knots into the eastern Aleutians. Southwest 40 knot winds become southerly there over the western Brooks Range to the Arctic coast, light over the interior areas. And pretty windy here, southerly winds 40 to 55 knots for the Panhandle. 3,000 feet, got 50 knot winds into the southern southeast coast. And another area of strong winds out here over the eastern Bering Sea, central and eastern Bering Sea, 60 to 70 knots there. And then coming back around pretty strong there. Eventually that'll be coming into the Shumiatu area at about 60 knots. And with that, look for moderate chop for the far west, or moderate turbulence for the far western Aleutians. Also pretty bumpy here for the area from about Atka Island into the Alaska Peninsula up across the Pribilofs. Smooth, much of interior Alaska and the southeast coast. Considerable moderate turbulence there, surface to about 6,000 feet or so.